Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Woo!
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone!
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Darby O'Gill in The Little People.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's going to be that kind of nightmare today.
Now the night was dark, and the mountain was covered with mist, and the moon was no bigger than the light from a halfpenny cat. But it didn't hide him from me, for there he stood with an angry little goblin, and his face as fierce as fire. King Brian, me old boy, oh, I've got you at last, and I'm not going to let you go until you grant me the favour of 3 grand wishes. Granted.
Darby, Bill, and the Squeaky Fuckers.
All right, well, first of all, big shout out to Vincent with a Y. That's very important.
Yes.
To us. I don't know if it's important to them.
I mean, it is. I mean, obviously it's important to them. It's how they spell their name, and it's how they quickly and succinctly convey the fact that they're a vampire.
Right, yeah, that is very
Your
simple.
name is Vincent with a Y.
Yeah, it's 2 V's. One has like a little dick
It's like a
next
V
to
with
it.
a dick tail.
Yeah,
dick
big
tail
V,
on the V.
little V with a dick.
Little V with a dick
Thank you,
tail.
Vincent. Yeah, Vincent is the one who, for whatever reason, asked us to, not asked, demanded, pointed down at us and said, "You will watch."
Instructed, commanded.
This old ass Sean Connery Disney film that I had never seen. Tom, you'd seen it, right?
Yes, this is a movie that I actually used to watch a lot when I was a kid.
All right. No, I mean that's how movies go when you're a kid.
Yeah, that's how movies happen.
Yeah. It's just one of those where it's so that movie, the movie that people watched as kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like a young Sherlock Holmes or The Witches.
Yeah,
where it's like, yeah, this movie used to fuck me up when I was little.
Yeah, this is one of the. I mean, like you would tape when they would do Wonderful World of Disney or when the Disney Channel was first starting. This is the kind of bullshit that they would throw on. You know, their old catalog films. So this was just one of the. As in my memory, this is just one of the ones that we happened to have on VHS because they showed it on TV a lot. So we had taped it off TV, I think. So, consequently, it's like, hey, it's a G-rated Disney movie with Sean Connery in it. Let's put it on.
It gave me hardcore Bedknobs and Broomsticks vibes, where it's that from that era where Disney movies were just nightmares where people occasionally sang.
Yes.
And that's the only thing that made it a Disney movie.
Kaleidoscopic nightmares with occasional songs. Yeah.
And the songs, like in this one, don't matter. They could have taken the songs right out.
They do not matter.
But it's a Disney film. If no one's seen it, I mean, it's available.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it sure is. The first real dark sign to me was when the credits said, "My thanks to King Brian of the Nakashiga and his leprechauns, whose gracious cooperation made this picture possible."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know what that means, man.
Listen, it's Darby O'Gill and the little people.
Yeah,
the titular squeaky fuckers are the leprechauns.
Once I realized it was about leprechauns, I was like, oh no, how are they going to do this? And then they did it by shrinking down actors, and I was like, that's
about how you do it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of. We're going to talk about that, but it takes a lot of the whimsy out of it.
Yeah,
when they're just tiny humans.
I would argue that this film has very little whimsy.
This film has very little. This is a very brutalist film.
Yeah. He died in that well.
Yes.
Okay, he fell down that well.
And
the horse kicked him, and he bled out.
Yeah,
his
horse kicked him down a well, and he fucking died. That's the only way this movie happens. No, I mean, it's a movie about you know, it's mid-century in Ireland. It's about this old fart, this old motherfucker who's the caretaker of this lord's property, but he's gotten too old and senile and ranting about goddamn leprechauns and all this other horse shit. So he's like, well, I'm going to replace you with Sean Connery. And the old guy's like, oh, sure not to be replacing me with Sean Connery. I'm going to find the king of the leprechauns and set this right.
Yeah.
So that's what he does, is he kidnaps the king of the leprechauns to set this whole thing right, and things spiral out of control. A fucking banshee shows up in the last 9 minutes.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I remember.
No warning for the banshee.
Yeah, and then he has to trick basically death and the devil, I guess. I don't know. He has to trick like the powers of darkness with riddles, because that's how magic works in like all folklore. It's all just riddles, because it turns out supernatural creatures are just fucking nerds, regardless of what culture you're in.
Seemed like the leprechaun gaslit him. It felt like it was all part of the leprechaun's plan, because the idea is he tells a story at the beginning about the time he saw this leprechaun and he asked for 3 wishes, and he asked for like, you know, gold and what have you. And then the leprechaun is like, what about your 4th wish? And he's like, oh, I get a 4th wish? I guess gold for other people. And he's like, ha ha ha, motherfucker, these rules that nobody told you about. So he wishes, by the way, for health, then a bunch of potatoes, and then gold.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can buy potatoes with gold, but whatever. And then he says, if you wish a 4th time, all the rules are void. Or all the wishes are void.
Yeah.
And he takes away all the wishes. And I was like, what a dickhead leprechaun. But you slowly, I don't know about you, but I slowly took the leprechaun side as the leprechaun became kidnapped and held in a bag for an extensive period of time.
Not really. It's basically the story of 2 drunk shitheads trying to out-con each other with riddle games. Because the Leprechaun King takes it upon himself to abduct Darby O'Gill and bring him into the Fairy Mountain. He's like, well, I heard that you were going to lose your job as caretaker to Sean Connery, so you can live here in the Fairy Mountain with me. And he's like, well, can I go and say goodbye to my daughter or get any of my things? No, you have to sit in the Fairy Mountain forever. So it's like the Leprechaun King kidnapped him first.
Yeah. It's like a fucking Polanski film.
Yeah.
At times, there's these extended scenes that last way longer than you think, of just like people talking.
That's the entire movie.
Yeah, and it's like these weird. One of them wants something from the other, and they're trying to trick him. It also gave me Beauty and the Beast vibes, because it begins with what's her name? Is it Katie?
Katie, the daughter.
The daughter, churning butter with blank fucking eyes. And this old woman comes in and basically negs her, is like,
oh,
who in this town would have you? Who dare even look at you?
This fucking lady. There's this old lady with ice blue eyes.
Yeah.
Trying to push her terrible son on anyone who'll listen. Her son,
wait to talk about Pony.
Her son fucking Pony.
Pony, what an asshole.
He's such a piece of shit. He's such a piece of shit.
He's an amazing piece of shit. Yeah.
It's just like his default. It's all he wants to be is a piece of shit.
Yes. And he reminded me of Gaston.
A little bit, yeah. He's got Gaston vibes, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful young woman in a town, the like down-to-earth town where everybody's like, oh, she's so beautiful. Weird father who gets kidnapped into this magical world. Like, it's very... It's not one-to-one, but it starts very Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, a little bit.
It goes in a different direction. And so she's like, she keeps saying stuff like, this is my lad Pony. My pony is respected and feared. And I'm like, his name is Pony.
Yeah, why did you call him Pony? And when you meet him, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's like 50.
Yeah.
And he's just this, he's like wearing a bowler.
He's the oldest young person I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's that era, and he's just an absolute prick all the time.
Yeah, it's all he wants to be. Like I said, it's his only goal in life is to be the biggest dickhead possible.
My favorite part is later when they're like running through the woods, and Pony's just in the woods.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Ha!" It's like, what is Pony doing? What is he doing in this field under this tree?
He spends his days just creeping up on people.
Yeah.
Just stalking. Just general stalking.
Right. So yeah, it's young woman who's single, her crazy dad who swears he saw a leprechaun. No one really believes him.
But a lot of the town entertains him. Like they're kind to him, except for Pony and his shithead friends.
Right. And then
so that's like a big difference with Beauty and the Beast.
Right. The town is such a bummer.
Yeah.
That the most exciting thing happening is they're gonna get a secondhand bell for the church.
Listen,
they're so excited.
Listen, this is a small Irish town. It's still like basically a fiefdom, I guess, because they all have to answer to this lord.
Yeah.
And it's like 10 years after World War II. So you take the joy where you can get it.
Right. They're like, oh, I can't wait to listen to this bell ring because it's the only sound.
It is the only thing to do. We don't have radio out here.
No. Maybe the bell will ring in an interesting pattern.
Yeah.
It's man,
maybe
what a bummer.
Maybe if I stand close enough to the bell, the force of the ringing will erase my memory of this terrible town that I live in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll wake up, I'll memento myself every day.
Right. So yeah, in his memory, the leprechaun's like this weird asshole. Also, I feel like we can't skip over the fact that his name is King Brian, which is
King Brian Connors.
Yeah, that sounds like the manager at a Ren fair. Like that's like someone is like, no, call me King Brian. It's so weird.
Isn't Brian? Isn't that Paul Walker's name in Fast and Furious? Or is it
the full name?
Yeah. Or is it like Brian O'Connor or something? That would be incredible. But it's either way, the fact that the King of the Leprechauns has the same name as like a shortstop for the Red Sox.
His name is indeed Brian O'Connor.
Okay.
Is that the name of the fucking leprechaun in this?
The leprechaun's name is Brian Connors. It's very close.
But it's very close.
It's also just funny to me that he has just the boringest name, and he's a 5,000-year-old king of leprechauns.
King Brian
Connors.
Yeah.
5,000 years old. Brian Connors.
Yeah. So the Lord shows up, and he's like, here's Sean Connery. He's going to be taking over. You're going to retire in this small house. And you're right. No, everybody sucks, but I think Katie, because he's like, I'm not going to tell my daughter that we have to move out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm just going to spring it on her. It'll be easier that way.
Yeah, he tells her that like Sean Connery is his replacement, but he tells her that, I've hired him to come help me work the land.
Right.
And he pulls him aside. Sean Connery pulls him aside. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. His name is Michael McBride, a Dublin
sure
man.
Is.
Yeah.
And in classic Sean Connery fashion, he makes no attempt to adjust his accent.
No. This is actually, if this was the only thing I saw Sean Connery in, from this era, I would be so confused why he had a career.
Yeah.
Because he's very generic in this. Yeah. He's not in it that much.
No, he's only in a couple of scenes, and he's really just, handsome dude, just required to stand there.
Yeah. She immediately is into him and he's into her, even though he seems older than her, but
not that much
everybody
older.
Is. That's no. Yeah, she's like 20. I think he's probably in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It doesn't seem egregious, like in the movie. So they, I'm trying to think of what happens. Oh yeah, I wrote down that he fucking. So he tells his daughter that Sean Connery is going to work for him. He brings him in. He like fucking plays his fiddle while making eye contact the whole time, which was really unnerving.
Yeah, just staring him down.
Yeah. And then I forget why he goes. There's this village is cursed. It's got like this abandoned church, this like the Omen style like abandoned demonic church up on a hill that he goes up to, and I forget why he goes up there. Is it to find the leprechaun?
To look for the leprechaun, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Someone
ruins
has
of
to
an
do
old castle.
something.
It looks like.
Okay, yeah, someone has to do something about it because it's got a lot going
so
on.
many, like, they casually introduce a lot of ghosts in this movie.
Yeah,
obviously the leprechauns are the main thing, but later on the banshee shows up, and then also Katie goes running out there looking for a puka, which is like the Irish spirit that like Harvey the Rabbit is supposed to be in the movie Harvey.
Right.
So and the puka and the banshee come into the film in the last 10 minutes, and that's not an exaggeration.
They really don't mention it.
No, they never really explain why the banshee is there either. There's just suddenly a banshee, and it's fucking terrifying.
That was the point where I was like, they need to raise this fucking castle to the ground. Like, it's
right.
a real problem.
We need to burn this thing down and salt the earth.
Yeah, is this where like Dracula, like his origin story happened?
There's some
what
cursed
is going on?
bones in this hill.
Yeah. So he goes up there and the horse gets possessed.
Mm-hmm. Something.
The horse starts flashing with light and making faces, and it's horrifying. And then he just kicks that old man right into the well. And it really feels like I immediately wrote down like, oh, he died.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the
dead
rest
now.
of this movie.
He's dead now.
Because he falls a great distance.
He falls into another dimension.
He does. And then the leprechauns wake him up, and they're like, let's go to this fucking leprechaun orgy. And it's like the Zion rave in The Matrix, where like there's like pools of wine, and there's this like kick-ass bagpipes happening.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, they're grinding and they're dancing, and they're fucking.
Oh yeah, those little leprechauns fuck like rabbits.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They're the fairy equivalent of vermin.
Yeah.
It's basically he's stumbled into like a hutch full of squirrels, essentially.
Yeah. Sentient squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're not going back. Where you're here
live
forever.
With us now. They're gonna eat him.
It's like, yeah, I would hope that they'd eat me because I don't want to just like live there, you know?
Like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna hang out with all these dudes that are like 10 inches tall.
Yeah, it sucks.
That would get old.
It really would.
It's like after like the third or fourth time you juggle them, and it's just like, wow, this is losing its luster. At first, it was really novel, but now I'm just tired.
Yeah, it would be exhausting. Yeah, they don't even have much booze because they're tiny.
Yeah. Although King Brian,
like, what would you eat?
King Brian puts away a lot of booze later.
Oh, he sure does. Oh man. They give him a fiddle. They have all these artifacts and shit. They give him a fiddle and they're like, "Play for us," right?
Yeah, he's coming up with excuses to try to leave and go back home, and they're like, nah, none of your tricks, Darby. And he's like, all right, well, I got to go get my fiddle. And they're like, no, we got this really nice fiddle I got from like the French emperor of leprechauns 300 years ago, or some fucking shit. And he's like, all right, I'll play this thing. So he starts playing this fox hunting song, and he starts making it go faster and faster and faster. So like the leprechauns are getting all horned up for a fox hunt until finally they just can't take it anymore. He edges them for a long time.
So that's what happens.
And then they just burst forth from the fairy mountain. They ejaculate from the fairy mountain to go on a fox hunt because they're so excited for the fox hunt.
Okay.
And then he escapes in the confusion.
I'm so glad you explained that to me because this scene lasts so long.
The scene lasts about 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, like way longer than you expect it to.
It takes up a sizable percentage of the movie. And he just starts playing, and I couldn't understand what the fuck happened. Because like the scene's lasting so long, they're just yelling at each other. And it's not dull. It's just that like you drift away sometimes. And then they were all running out, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Listen, they are so
he got them horned up for a fox
hunt. Except their version of a fox hunt is they hunt rabbits.
Right. This also makes sense because I think I processed that information, but my brain was like, surely that's not the reason this is happening, right?
I'm surprised you're fixating on this and not on the fact that they have a legion of tiny horses.
Yeah, that is something to unpack, isn't it?
Like, because leprechauns, okay. Like, there's, I understand leprechauns. They're part of folklore. They're a well-known fantasy creature. Leprechaun-sized horses, however, are a different thing. that
They
the
sure
movie
are.
is just like, and also they have little horses. I was like, they do?
All right.
This changes everything.
I was very unclear about the powers of the leprechauns because his power only works at night,
yeah.
right? But he seems to be able to grant wishes whenever. And he turns into a rabbit during the day later.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like they broke their own rules there. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why this leprechaun couldn't get away from him at a certain point, too, where, like, nights pass, and it's like, well, you have your powers now. It's inconsistent. And so, I was going to say, the horses could just be something they conjured with their leprechaun powers, right?
I guess, sure.
I don't know. Or they're breeding tiny horses. And I don't know. I don't know what to think about that, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
It seems most of his magic is limited, except he can still appear as something else to other people.
Yeah.
And grant wishes.
Which seems like that's all of your magic.
Unless he's not granting the wishes and just saying they're granted.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a bit of a grifter.
Yeah, that's why he's entirely a grifter. That's his whole... Both the King Brian and Darby O'Gill, they're both just shitty grifters trying to pull one over on each other.
They really are.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get so horned up for a fox hunt that they blast off, and he uses that to escape.
Mm-hmm.
He goes home, and then King Brian, like, shows up, right?
Yeah, Brian shows up. He's like, "Yeah, you tricked us, you fucker." And he's like, "Nah, I was just getting my pipe. But you want to have a little drink? You want to have a little drinky poo?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, let's have a drinky poo." And then they start playing this game where they make up a verse to a song and then drink. And they end up having 80 drinks, 80 rounds of drinks. And then...
Wait, really?
Yeah. He says that... Remember, he says, what verse was that? He says 79. It's like, all right, well, here comes 80. And then Darby O'Gill sings his 80th verse and then reveals, oh, it's daytime. He does the Bilbo trick that Bilbo does to the trolls.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is like a human regular size cup with the leprechaun. So to put that into perspective, it's like half of a bathtub of liquor every time.
Yeah.
When he drinks.
He's drinking a wading pool of booze.
He drinks his own weight in liquor several times over.
Like 80 times.
Yeah. And he does not die, but I guess he is a leprechaun.
He's an immortal fairy king. Yeah, he's not going to die.
Yeah. So then he sicks his cat on him briefly, which was delightful. He threatens him with mauling by cat.
He sure does.
And then he kidnaps him as his wish slave. And he's like, I'm going to put you in this fucking burlap sack.
Yep.
This is where it gets kind of dark. Because it's just him, one shitty guy kidnapping another shitty guy to be like, I want your fucking wishes, leprechaun.
Give me your wish blood.
Yeah. And then he says, like, I can't use my magic at day, but once it's night, I'm going to do this and that to you. And that's why I was confused, because then, like, he keeps him overnight, and Brian doesn't escape. I guess he's trying to work a grift. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not clear. Also, the passage of time isn't terribly clear. It seems like 2 weeks go by real quick.
Yeah,
the Lord is coming back in 2 weeks to make sure Darby O'Gill and his daughter Katie have moved on, and Sean Connery has moved in his place.
You're right. He kidnaps that troll for weeks. Or not troll, leprechaun.
It's the same thing. He's a troll-ass leprechaun.
Yeah.
So, like, very abruptly, there's not much conflict for the first 80 minutes, and this is a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
And then very abruptly...
no, this is conflict. He's kidnapping another man.
Yeah.
And then he goes around town just reeking of booze and failure, just with this burlap sack telling people that
I've kidnapped the king of the leprechauns. Yeah.
He says, I captured the king of the little people to the priest.
Yeah.
With a wiggling sack, and that priest needs to check up on him. Like, this old man everybody is talking about how he's losing it. Like, there's no way that isn't, like, filled with just squirming rats that he's going to eat.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's just spiders.
Yeah.
It's just a sack full of thousands of spiders.
Yeah.
It's King Brian.
Yeah. from the town's perspective, this could be like a haunting A24 film.
Yeah.
Of like this old man with dementia with a sack being like, I caught a leprechaun. He's going to give wishes, but he won't let anybody see inside of it. It's fucking weird. Sean Connery is singing, standing in the woods.
Yeah.
I don't think that's his real voice.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, you can tell.
Wow.
And then he also recorded that song for like a Disney album, like a Disney sing-along album. Yeah. I mean, it's not unbelievable because it sounds like him, and also he's not like he's in key and everything, but he's not like a singer.
He's not amazing. Yeah.
No, he's
fair.
just kind of like getting through it.
Yeah. And then like night comes and stuff, and they get the bell. They get the bell. There's a big party. I remember that because Pony he like death grips that guy's wrist so he can give Katie a ride.
Yeah.
And that was pretty dark.
It's Pony, man.
Yeah, Pony's very dark. And then the old man is still dragging around this leprechaun, threatening him and stuff.
Yeah. He settles on it because he's like, well, you got to give me my third wish. They cram a lot into the final minutes of this film because the king tells him, he's like, look, you have to get your wishes and set me free because not only are you pissing me off and this is a huge inconvenience, but also like as king of the leprechauns, part of my job is to keep like the supernatural order of things. So the longer you keep me away, the more spooky and haunted shit is going to get. And,
right.
And so Darby O'Gill's was like, well, I don't know what I want to wish for. I just want my daughter to be okay. So they concoct a plan to like get one of his wishes to get Katie and Sean Connery together, even though they're already flirting with each other. Like it's clear that they're already attracted to each other.
Okay, yeah. So this gets weird. Because he like the way he grants that wish is he goes and talks to them in their sleep.
Yeah.
And is like, you guys got to hook up. And it's like, you're a leprechaun. Don't you have magic? Like, why are you doing it like a rom-com?
Yeah.
Where you're like trying to set them up. I thought the whole point is you can just grant wishes. Instead, he's like, okay, I'm going to go convince them with my words.
Yeah.
It's like, the fuck is happening?
I'm going to go debate them.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like this weird scheme to get them together. Like you said, even though they're already together. At one point I wrote down the guy says to the leprechaun, I'll throw you in the river and drown you like a kitten. Which I was like, God damn it, man.
He sure did.
Some dark ass shit. So yeah,
drown that fucking leprechaun king.
Yeah, it's like leprechaun matchmaker who's also the hostage. And so then shit starts going wrong with Pony. Pony shows up lurking in the bushes in a field, smiling like the Joker.
Yeah.
Wearing like a fancy outfit. And they never explain what the fuck Pony was doing.
There's no explanation needed. Like,
yeah.
Pony's room is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, if you opened the door to Pony's bedroom, he would have to murder you. Because
absolutely.
He could not allow that to get out.
Yeah, his brain, it's like the guy in The Cell. It's like Vincent D'Onofrio. He's horrifying. And this woman has a choice between Pony and Sean Connery, which honestly is not a great choice. Sean Connery like grabs her arm. He's doing all that manly, like, I'm going to jerk you around.
Yeah, he's doing that manly 1950s stuff. I'd say it's too, he's like yanking her around the room. I can't let you go out there. It's too dangerous. It's like, you're going to break her neck, man.
Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. All right.
So like
calm down, the 50s.
Yeah, she prevents Sean Connery from fighting Pony at first, and I was like, she's like, he'll kill you, and it's like, it's Sean Connery.
It's Sean Connery. Let him fight Pony.
He's not small. He's bigger than Pony. Pony, like, clearly is a man who cannot fight. But yeah, so like, then it keeps going, right, where he says, like, I have my final wish, but it's Sunday, and I don't want to wish on Sunday.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't want to do dark magic on the Lord's Day.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the devil has your soul already, man. Yeah,
absolutely. And so he keeps prolonging it, and it just it felt like a weird thriller where it's like this poor fucking leprechaun at this point, but again, he doesn't seem to be using his powers. He gets out because the daughter finds out what's happening. Finally, she finds out that Sean Connery is there to replace her dad.
Yeah,
she's mad. She throws his bag on the ground, and a rabbit comes out.
Yeah, and the whole town sees it. That he's been calling this rabbit King Brian.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
He's like chasing the rabbit around the town while
saying
everybody's
Your
laughing
Majesty.
at him.
It's grim.
It's really grim. That night, Pony passes the point of no return by assaulting Sean Connery, dragging his ass away.
Yeah, he's trying to get him fired. So he clubs him over the head and he leans him up against the Lord's manor and dumps booze on him because he knows the Lord is coming that morning. So if he sees the new caretaker drunken and passed out in front of the house, he'll get fired. And then Pony gets the job.
Right.
In Pony's mind.
In Pony's mind, because Pony's fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's a real piece of shit, and his shitty-ass mom keeps talking him up.
Yeah.
I love
the
way this actress says Pony, by the way.
What, the old woman?
Yeah, his mom. This is the very Irish brogue saying Pony.
Yeah. Why would you name your son Pony? Of course he's a maniac.
A maniac living in a maniacal Irish town.
Then,
full of
Katie,
the most unappealing leprechauns.
Katie goes up to the temple. Why does Katie go up?
She goes up there to find a puka.
Right. And then she eats shit on the rocks.
Yeah.
Wait, why does she want a puka?
Some kind of magic. I don't know.
Okay.
They don't explain it. They expect you to be familiar with like Gaelic folklore. So
is she just... I was imagining she's just sitting around, like, smoking a bowl. Like, you know what? I could really go for a puka right now. I'm going to go get a puka.
She comes back down with a puka shell necklace.
Yeah. She eats shit on the rocks. The dad goes up, and that's when a fucking Nazgul shows up.
Yeah, that's when the goddamn Banshee shows up.
Yeah. And it's just like, holy shit.
They don't really explain it, but I think... the implication is that Katie is dying and the Banshee is there to take her.
Take her, yeah. Because that's what happens next, is he throws the lantern at it. Doesn't give a fuck about that.
No, it goes away for a while.
That's true.
It fucks off for a minute.
Yeah. Then the death coach shows up for Katie, who has a fever.
That's after. Okay, they get her back to the house. She's in a coma in the bed, and the priest is like touching her face, and then he turns to the side. I don't fucking know. I'm not a doctor. And they're like, oh, I guess she's in trouble.
Why does she have a fever? By the way,
I don't.
Because they're like her fever broke.
That's just what they call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when you're like terribly injured, you'll get a fever.
Yeah, it feels like she just hit her head on the rocks. I don't know.
So they hear a noise at the door, and Darby rushes out to answer the door, and it's the fucking Banshee at the door.
Yeah. Just like, hi, excuse me, I've come for your daughter.
And it does, it does a close-up. It has like a Raiders of the Lost Ark face.
Yeah.
Like, this Banshee fucked me up when I was a kid.
It must have, and like, this is one of those things where like the movie should really warn parents. Because you sit down with your kids.
At the end of the movie.
You put the movie on, you're watching it with your kid, you watch like the first 20 minutes, you're like, okay, this is harmless. You walk away. And then at the very end, it's like one of those YouTube videos that's trying to scare you. Like they just they add this fucking Banshee to show up and fuck everything up.
Yep.
And again, this is like fucking...
It's like the Ghost in Personal Shopper. Like that's almost what it looks like.
Yeah. And then he's like, don't take my daughter, take me. And I was like, yeah, because you're dead in a well.
Yeah.
We're just watching you die slowly.
The leprechauns are eating your bone. They're feasting on your bones right now.
Right. But by leprechauns, we mean rats. Yeah.
Yeah. Little rats.
Yeah. And so, then Death, he gets in the coach. Yep. And it's like this dark ass scene where he's just quietly going to the afterlife.
The coachman driving the coach is headless, by the way. No reason.
Yeah. No
reason.
And so he's just like kind of like waiting to go, or like the trail. And so the leprechaun is there, Brian, and he's talking to him like they like have like almost like a heartfelt conversation.
Yeah. We always were friends. I'm gonna miss you.
Yeah, and it's like that's weird. And then I think Brian says, "I wish I could go with you." I was like, "Really, Brian?"
Yeah.
You wish you could die, huh?
Yeah, you wish you'd go to the Nightlands, huh?
Yeah.
That's where you want to go?
Revere. Yeah. And he says, I wish you could too. And he goes, ha ha! Fourth wish, motherfucker! And this is where it gets confusing, because he's like, that negates all the other wishes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets thrown out of the fucking carriage.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why he was thrown out.
Because, the logic we're supposed to be following is that him wishing for a fourth wish, as we've learned, negates all of his previous wishes, so that means it negates his wish to go in Katie's place. However, he walks back to the... Yes, it would! He walks back to the house, and they're like, Katie's fever is broken. I'm like, wouldn't that mean that carriage is going to turn right back around and come take Katie?
Maybe it's Wishmaster rules, where, like, it goes back and, like, since he didn't make any of the wishes, none of it happened. But it did happen.
But him delaying, because Katie runs off into the mountain because she finds out that her dad is about to lose his job and they're about to lose the house, and he didn't tell her. That has nothing to do with his wishes.
Right, but also, like, it's like a butterfly effect where it's like, had he not gotten the leprechaun, maybe things would have... But that, again, we know that's not true because everything else is the same.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to make sense of it because, yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. So it was all like a grift.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, did he bring... That's why my other theory was that the leprechaun conjured the fake death phantom, and it was part of a ruse to, like, it's like a con, where, like, there was never a death carriage. It was just the leprechaun. And so he's just like, haha, I don't have to give you wishes. Bye, fucker.
Yeah.
And that's the most sense I can make, is that it was all actually magic from the leprechaun to con him.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. And then it ends the way you want it to end, with Sean Connery beating the fuck out of Pony.
He sure does. He sure does.
He should have killed Pony.
Yeah, I mean, he basically does.
Yeah, I feel like Pony's gonna die hilariously anyway. He's gonna get food poisoning and die shitting, you know? Like, Pony is just destined for failure.
Yeah. Pony's life is a shambles now.
Right. And then they sing, and the movie expects us to think that's how a movie should end.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a thing.
It is how this movie ends.
Yeah. I don't even know if I like this movie, Tom. I don't know what to think of it.
I don't know. Like, this is more like me getting reacquainted with... Like, I never actually questioned, and I don't think we ever asked how we felt about the film. Because this is just movie, like me getting reintroduced to a movie that I've seen a lot. So it just sort of occupies a space within me.
Right. It cannot be judged by man.
No.
Like,
it defies
that's the thing
judgment.
about it. Yeah.
I've been staring at the poster for the entire time we've been recording, and it's just, holy shit, look at that poster.
What does the poster look like?
It's them sitting on the cart surrounded by these horrible leprechauns, just like waving like, hey, it's a fun fantasy movie. And it's like, it's not any of those things.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's a few posters.
It's like a weird movie about a guy terrified of losing his job. And then there's this like clan of super unappealing leprechauns that he hangs out with for a scene.
Yeah. There's
something about...
Here's
when you're portraying like a fairy, but it's just an adult person shrunken down. It's very unappealing. Yeah, it's just some guy. Dude. Yeah.
I think, all right, you know what I would compare this to, interestingly enough, maybe just because we just watched it, but Howard the Duck. Because, and I'll explain, they're not the same movie, obviously, but when you start watching Howard the Duck, you expect it to go a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't.
No, it sure doesn't.
It's like, here's a duck from outer space. What kind of adventures are we going to go on? He's going to look for a job. And you're like, really? And then you have to spend most of the movie with that. And then at the last minute, they're like, also, here's some nightmare fuel for you. This feels similar, where it's like, ooh, leprechauns, fantasy. It's going to be a extended kidnapping. It's like, really? It's just going to be this old man kidnapping the leprechaun, walking around with him. That's mainly what happens in this. Like, it's weirdly not fantasy. Like, it's dealing with very, like, real ideas.
Yeah.
It's like this guy having to move out.
It's
in,
a very
poverty.
mundane fantasy.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Bedknobs and Broomsticks, like they go to a cartoon island, and I thought it was going to be like that, where it's like, oh, we're going to go on this like wild adventure with these leprechauns. And they stay in the fucking village. And the leprechauns, it's like it really is Darby O'Gill, which is the old man, and the little people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's in their world. He kidnaps one and then he just walks around. It's not even little people. It's a little person,
right.
One leprechaun.
It's a single leprechaun.
Yeah. And so there's just something weirdly grounded and dark about it, because it just feels like an old man with dementia.
Right. It's like the Nolan version of a fantasy film.
Yeah.
Where it's like we live within the fairy mountain, and it's like, oh, that sounds cool. Is it like this hidden realm with a gateway that's inside the mountain? It's like, no, it's literally a cave in the side of a mountain, and we're all just normal adults, but a foot tall, wearing normal adult clothing. It's like, oh, well, this sucks. Like, this isn't whimsical.
It's not whimsical.
This
it's based off a book, right?
I think it's based off like a series of stories.
Yeah, and this is the story they went with.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of dudes hanging out at a VA. Like, that's what it feels like when we're inside the fairy mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real bummer.
Yeah.
The leprechauns are a fucking bummer. Everybody in it. It's just like grim. It's weirdly grim. Pony. Why is Pony in this movie?
But Pony's in there to be an obstacle twice randomly that gets immediately resolved.
His wife, his mother, they say is a witch. They never follow up on that.
They do?
Don't they?
I don't think so.
I think Darby calls her a witch or something.
I don't think if he does, I don't think he means literally.
Yeah. I thought it was like foreshadowing it, I guess. I don't know.
No, she's just kind of a busybody.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Trying to foist her horrible son onto people.
This is a movie that I'd recommend to adults and never to a child.
Yeah, it's weird that I watched this so often. I don't know what happened there.
Well, I know what happened. It's when you're a kid, there's always some weird fucking nightmare movie that's one like it's not the same movie either. It's everybody has their own
weird movie. Yeah, and it's yeah, exactly. This is just what we happened to have recorded. So plop you down in front of this. Yeah, it's Disney. It's G. It's got Sean Connery. You know him. He's James Bond. Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy this.
So I guess
nightmare.
I'm watching Darby O'Gill again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the thing at the library that you always go to that you rent. It's I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of this. Like I don't know why they made it. I think they adapted the stories.
Yeah.
And they and I think they were like, look, we have to adapt this. And then when they got to writing, they were like, we can't really do this stuff. And they had one trick. And I bet at the time it was really cool, which was making people look small. Well, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
The effects in this movie are pretty sweet.
They look great.
Yeah.
They look really good. Very seamless.
It's Disney. Yeah.
And I assume that beginning where they pretend like there's real leprechauns, because I'm assuming this was like really technologically advanced for its time.
And a lot of and just this movie came out in 1959. Nobody was really making movies like this.
Yeah. So this was probably seeing it in theaters and shit. Like, I think that's what it is. The movie was managed to get by on its own spectacle.
And Disney's name. Like, Disney was a huge... he's still alive at this point. Like, he's made a huge splash making family entertainment. This is really novel, I think. And it's like he's his own... This is the beginning of him being his own brand. Well, not the beginning. We're like 20-odd years into it now. But this is like... around the peak of Disney being a massive brand while Walt himself is still alive.
Right.
So I think it's getting a lot of it gets by just on, what amazing, impossible new thing is Disney going to bring to life next? Because he was sort of getting that reputation of doing the impossible, like with feature-length animated films. That was mind-blowing at the time.
Right.
I think a lot of that was just the spectacle of this idea. It's like, how can you even make this a movie? And it's like, well, you can't really.
Right.
The leprechauns themselves are just a bunch of fucking dudes.
Yeah, they're a bunch of dudes.
They look like they're just hanging out at a Mason's lodge. Like,
I would have loved for them all to have thick Boston accents. They're
the fucking king of the leprechauns.
Yeah. It turns out that Walt Disney conceived of this film, according to Wikipedia, from a trip to Ireland.
Sure.
That checks out. And then he tried to make a film called Three Wishes. It never happened. Then he went to Ireland again and showed back up, and he was like, okay, this is what I want to do. The Three Wishes of Darby O'Gill, based off a book. So yeah, Disney was just on a really good big Ireland kick at the time and was like, this is what we're going to fucking make. And it's like, all right, you're Disney.
Yeah.
It's a nice reminder, though, that, like, Disney had some misses. This feels like a miss for Disney.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think it's a lot of the live action movies they were putting out around this time in particular kind of have the same issue where they're paced a little strangely. It's not, I don't know.
It had mixed reviews at the time. I'm also reading
there's
that.
Like there's like a real a whole lot of dull ass Disney movies got made.
Yeah. The reviews seem to be saying what we're saying too, which is weird. Like, they describe Sean Connery as merely tall, dark, and handsome.
Well, yeah,
and that is kind of what he is.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to do in this movie. He's just kind of in it.
They call it, like, beautifully executed, a technically perfect movie, but, like, yeah, lacking a little bit. Lacking, like, a heart.
It's really unfocused.
It is. It's like, if this came out today, imagine this coming out today with, like, the special effects of the time. We'd be like, this is bullshit. Like, if this was the broad strokes of the plot, I don't know. But, again, it was amazing for its time.
Yeah.
And I continue, it cannot be judged by man.
No. It defies judgment. It just exists.
Yeah. I don't know. What are we going to do about it?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know what to do about this film.
I think we just stay away. We treat it like the ruins of Knocknashiga. We just don't go up there.
Yeah, we don't go up there. You're right.
There's a fucking banshee there.
There's a fucking banshee there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That goddamn again, not an exaggeration. The last 10 minutes of the movie, this fucking thing shows up.
Yeah, Google it. It's horrifying.
It is a terrifying looking banshee.
Yeah. It is
very simple effect, very effective.
It's kind of the best effect of the movie.
Yeah.
It's got real Lord of the Rings vibes. Mm-hmm. Everything up there.
Yeah, it's very Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Interesting film, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, it exists. We can't deny that it exists.
Yeah, you can't. And there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Unless we find a leprechaun.
And we
this
can
is going to exist.
With our wish, yeah.
But I feel like if leprechauns existed, they would have already unmade this film. They would have already gotten involved.
Maybe
the part where the leprechaun speaks to Sean Connery sleeping.
Oh yeah,
so fucking weird.
Sure, what do you want? I think you should marry her, but I barely know her. Maybe this movie is the product of a leprechaun wish.
Yeah.
Because it makes the leprechauns seem like really lame and unappealing. So it's like, yeah, if we put out this film, they won't come looking for us.
Oh, it's leprechaun propaganda. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the leprechauns really are. They're just a bunch of dudes that are assholes.
Yeah.
That just, like, trick you with weird wish rules. Yeah, fucking weird. All right, I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. I mean, this, like we said, this
movie took a lot out of me, not in a bad way. I don't know what I think about this movie. Like, it's fucking weird, and of course it's weird.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Oh, Christ. Vincent, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us watch this movie and talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for demanding that we watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like a better person. Like, I'm glad I have this in my brain, you know?
Yeah.
I needed to watch this to to witness what this was. So this was done through our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. You can go on there for $5 a month. You get exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama. You check those out. You check them all out. You'll love them.
Yeah, check it out. We also have a store. Head on over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find the link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of stuff. A pot of gold of cool stuff. So check that out.
Seriously, he asked for potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking potatoes.
He's bad at wishing. He's bad at wishing.
It's just, what a fucking bummer town.
What a piece of shit town.
Yeah.
Where
fucking
Pony is like one of your finest citizens.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I need to learn more about Pony.
I mean, what is there to know? What is there to know?
I want Pony origins. Pony origins. Give it to me. Come on, Disney. Let's make a cinematic universe of this.
Yeah, this is the one that we want. This is the one people are clamoring for.